Jerry Seinfeld has been in the news a lot this past week. Over the weekend, he was a commencement speaker at Duke University, where his own kid was graduating from. Let's listen to what he had to say.
So on my staff in the 90s, we had a lot of Harvard guys. They were fantastic, but I could never understand why these guys were so embarrassed about being from Harvard. They would never talk about it. They would never mention it. I'm not talking about Harvard now. I'm talking about the way it used to be. You're never going to believe this. Harvard used to be a great place to go to school. Now it's Duke.
As a reminder, Harvard University President Claudine Gay resigned after her controversial congressional testimony about anti-Semitism and facing allegations of plagiarism. Now, just last week, Jerry Seinfeld also called out wokeness when he was interviewed about comedy by The New Yorker's David Remnick.
There'll be some funny stuff we can watch on TV tonight. Well, guess what? Where is it? This is the result of the extreme left and PC crap and people worrying so much about offending other people. Mm-hmm. When you write a script and it goes into 4 or 5 different hands, committees, groups, here's our thought about this joke, well, that's the end of your comedy.
It seems to be a family affair, as Seinfeld's wife recently made headlines for donating to a UCLA pro-Israel protest. It's one of the few protests where there was physical violence by a pro-Zionist mob against the protesting students. So it's not surprising that a handful of pro-Palestine students booed Seinfeld and left before his speech started. Many on X weighed in on that viral moment. Author and Twitter influencer Nick Adams wrote, quote, "If you can't handle a speech from Jerry Seinfeld, your college has failed to prepare you for the real world." But popular X user Adam celebrated the moment, writing, quote, "Bravo to the Duke students who walked out of their commencement ceremony right as smug Zionist Jerry Seinfeld is introduced to speak." Now, it's worth noting that a number of pro-Israel commentators on the app very specifically characterized the walkout as anti-Semitic. Fred Gutenberg, who is known as the parent of a Parkland child, the shooting child, tweeted, "Students walked out of Duke University commencement today because the speaker was Jewish. They walked out to confirm they are anti-Semitic and that this is about hatred of Jewish people." Who did they walk out on? The comedian Jerry Seinfeld. There were a couple along those lines. Other pro-Palestinian Jewish commentators pushed back, including Jerry Seinfeld. Brian Krasenstein of the famously liberal Krasenstein brothers also made a similar comment, saying Jerry Seinfeld's speech at Duke University was announced and it was immediately drowned out by Free Palestine chants. Newsflash, just because someone is Jewish doesn't mean they are against peaceful Palestinians. Stop being ignorant to the point of hateful bigotry. And again, many people pointed out to him that Jerry Seinfeld, not only did his wife make this donation, but that he and his family took a trip to a West Bank, illegally occupied West Bank training facility to practice shooting at Palestinian targets with the IDF. This is someone whose ideology is very known. And again, conflating anti-Semitism with anti-Zionism does make Jewish people more broadly a target in a way that I don't think furthers the interests of Jewish safety.
I actually just saw a screenshot of a tweet. She subsequently deleted it, assuming that was not a doctored screenshot I was looking at. I doubt that, of Randy Weingarten, the teachers union leader, saying the same thing, saying they're protesting Jew. Yes, I understand why they're protesting Seinfeld. It's for his views on Israel. It should be emphasized, as you did emphasize, that it was a very small protest. It was a extremely small number of students who actually did walk out, and I think that's totally fine. They have the right to do that. If you disagree with the speaker, you can make that known and not participate, and there is no shortage of commencement speakers. Everywhere it's normal for them to be. It's controversial to some group for some reason. My only objection is when universities cave to pressure to cancel their speaker and not have it, but that clearly didn't happen here, so it's all fine.
No, unlike the UCLA, not UCLA, one of the UC school valedictorian who was not allowed to, I think it was Berkeley. Who was not allowed to give her valedictorian address. When she graduated over the weekend, when her name was called and she stood up, she received thunderous applause that lasted a really long time, which did seem to suggest a great deal of support from the student body. And again, horrible for someone to have to work all those years for that accomplishment and to be denied that by the university. It's also worth noting that while the walkout appears to have been minimal, according to Brian Krasenstein, who again is very sympathetic to the pro-Israeli position here, he says that there were quite a few chants of free Palestine, to something that he characterized it as drowning out Jerry Seinfeld's speech. Maybe we should talk about the speech briefly. What did you make about those remarks?
So I actually read that as just kind of a playful jab at Harvard. You know, you're talking to the audience for one college, so you make a little bit of, like, that was very non-specific, and I was looking a little bit. Obviously, I didn't listen to the whole speech, and it doesn't sound like his criticisms of Harvard actually ever did get more specific than that. I saw the speech characterized by the Atlantic's Connor Friedersdorf as pretty generic kind of life advice, you know, the sort of, usually these speeches are pretty generic, you know, some in my day, and here's how you can be leaders, and et cetera, and so on and so forth. My commencement speaker was Barack Obama, and I don't really remember what he said, but he was a great speaker, so that was a very exciting day for all of us. It seems like the actual remarks were not political and would not have offended anyone.
I literally don't even remember mine. I've been to so many commencements that I can't remember which one was mine and which is, I think it was, it was Bill Gates.
No.
Bill Gates was mine. I remember Bill Russell was in attendance. I think he got an honorary degree, and that was much more memorable and interesting to me.
Yeah, Obama was mine. So this was 2010, truly at the height of his sort of popularity among progressive young people, the students at the University of Michigan. So he got a lot of applause.
Yeah.
They were very happy to have him on campus.
Now, I agree that it seems like Seinfeld's remarks were really minimal, but for the context of him being so kind of vocally supportive, he and his wife being so vocally supportive of Israel, I don't think that people would have read that much into it. It was more like Duke is a very good school, but not an Ivy League school, and kind of playing on the tension between.
I don't think
it's ranked higher than most Ivy League.
Did he
schools,
even
frankly.
accuse them of killing comedy and not trying to make it illegal to laugh?
But to that point, I was going to bring up the fact that his new movie Unfrosted, which debuted I think last week on Netflix, as I understand it, had one of the worst Netflix debuts ever. It's got a 40% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. I did watch. I don't know why. I started watching it.
Was it bad?
We started hate watching it, and we just couldn't turn it off. It's got an incredible cast. It's got a ton of people in it.
Melissa McCarthy, Hugh Grant.
And it's got clearly a lot of money sunk into it. He said that he made it during COVID, and it kind of does feel like that. Like everyone was sitting around with nothing to do, and so they made this film. It's got
what is it about?
COVID. It's about the invention of Pop-Tart. It's two rival cereal companies, Post and whoever makes Pop-Tarts.
Oh, is this what I saw the Don Draper pitch?
That's right.
Scene?
Exactly
That's
right.
from this?
It's set in like the 50s or 60s, and it's got great period costumes and a lot of things that make you want to enjoy the movie, but it's very unfunny. So I do think it's kind of rich for him to be making these arguments about how comedy is dead when he just put out one of the least
Well, he's not
funny
allowed
movies
to
of
make
the
you
year.
laugh anymore because of the woke DC
Evidently.
mob will kill him.
Evidently.
That does it for us today. No laughter here. It's illegal. Stop that. That's not allowed. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss any of our content. And please join us once again tomorrow. We love having our audience. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.